My only thing is, I might turn this off. Let me do that right now. Let me see if I can.
We should open the overflow room people like to hear.
Yeah, we just need one more minute. I'm going to download something.
Or the overflow people on the other. I don't know. Are there any overflow people? If they are, we should tell them to join us.
Okay, can I just ask you a really quick question? Which two are the ones that were just updated? The ones
Updated
that say-
Moriah and updated. That was already it. There's updated Moriah. Anything that says updated is the most recent one. So updated Moriah, updated April, and there should be an updated disaggregated.
This is yesterday.
Maybe it has a loading.
Hey, hi. I think we're good. Sorry, we just got a last minute update, so we're just gonna update.
Okay, yeah, do you want me to stick around?
I think we're okay. Let's see. I'm looking for the. Hi.
Hey.
Everything's good. We're just waiting for our moderator to come back.
Thank you, Donnie. But I don't know what's, they're all set with the mics and Beinecke, but I don't know that the slide from Roberts is still up, so I don't know, nobody's like giving me any new slides or anything. Yeah, okay, thank you.
So the people who are presenting are somewhere in this room? Oh, you're not the right one to ask.
I would, yes, maybe. Yeah, extra mics, okay, cool. I'm just gonna leave these out just in case they want to be
Okay,
left.
thanks. Testing. Okay. We're going to get started in just a minute.
For some reason, when I go to upload analogs, it's just spinning.
I mean, can he just make it work? Can we make the old one work? All right, I have to close them all, and so I'm going to have to reopen starting with the beginning. I'm just going to open them one by one. Let's see, let me go back to this. I think we're going to get started. I think we're going to get started.
He's got like a nice like roll in his name.
What?
I'm done.
Who was here? Something.
I think we're going to have to use this. We'll see. Because I'm using this before, I guess. That's what this is.
Yeah, that was doing that, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? So great to have some familiar faces in the room. So I'm Allison Malloy. So it says right there, excited to be here today. That's me. So if you are here for the Roberts Awards, you are in the right place. If you are not here for that, we can point you in the right direction. So I'm going to take a second and introduce myself and then the reason that we're here and all of these other really fun things. It's really all about the award recipients today. So Allison Malloy, I'm with Connecticut Innovations. Just for a quick show of hands, who in the room knows Connecticut Innovations? Okay, all right, so a whole bunch of us. So I'll just take a second on that. So I was an entrepreneur before becoming an investor, so that was the fun thing. So I always love to come to these events because it was fun to wear hats on both sides. I was a CEO of a startup software company here in Connecticut. And for the last 6 years, I've been with Connecticut Innovations. Am I cutting in and out? So Connecticut Innovations is Connecticut's strategic venture capital arm. We have about $500 million of assets under management. We're one of the most active early stage investors in the U.S. according to PitchBook. We do about 100 transactions each year. We deploy approximately 40 to 50 million each and every single year. As an early stage investor, our check sizes run anywhere from 100,000 proof of concept to $1.5 million for a first check. We love to jump in at a Series A, but we can go earlier. We can lead, we can follow, we can syndicate the round. So if there's folks in the room and all of you recipients that start to grow your companies are looking for early stage investment, Connecticut Innovations is a great place to look. Within CI, I run a fund called the Future Fund, which is really fun. And that is a $50 million fund. It's a new fund. We'll be deploying funds out of that for the next several years. And that fund is specifically focused on female and diverse founders. So underrepresented, overlooked, underestimated, a lot of great words for that. So a lot of folks in the room here would be great for our fund because we're so multicultural here. So with no further ado, I'm going to jump into the reason that we're here today. So still good? I feel like I'm cutting in and out, but as long as everybody can understand me. So just about a year ago here at Yale, they launched a new fund called the Roberts Innovation Fund. I think this is an amazing fund, an amazing opportunity. This is thanks to a generous donation from Will Roberts. The fund is it is a $5 million fund, and it's being deployed over the next 10 years to 10 award recipients a year, $50,000 each, which is exciting. So it's enabling faculty to spin out their fabulous ideas. The purpose of the fund, as we just talked about being thanks to Will Roberts, is to fuel the breakthrough innovation happening here at Yale with funding, mentoring, strategic support, and to shine a brighter light on the amazing developments happening within the Yale School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So that's if I were to read the specific words. So over the next hour, we're going to do it at about 5 minutes per recipient. Will come up here and share a little bit about what they're doing so we can all hear and be excited for them. So with no further ado, I'm going to flip my page right here. I did practice everybody's names. Thank you very much. So I do apologize if I stumble. So our first person is Sophie Chang. Sophie is an MBA doctor, assistant professor of radiology, and assistant director of informatics. Her project name is Craig, Computed Radiology Reporting with AI-Assisted Generation. Do we have Sophie here?
Okay.
Oh. Here you go.
Okay, thank you so much.
I think there's one.
Hi, everyone. Can I put this down, or how do I move this? Okay, and how do I? Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? So thank you very, very much for listening in. So as I'm sure many of you have seen, there have been some pretty scary headlines recently. I mean, who hasn't seen these, right? AI seems to be disrupting just about everything and everyone, from music to video gaming to finance. But instead of being afraid of disruption, I'm really excited to talk about how we're using AI to make our lives more productive, and in particular, how we're using generative AI to help radiologists. So hi, I'm Sophie Chang, I think I was already introduced, and we sort of slightly changed the name of our product. It's called CREG, for Computed Radiology Automated Impression Generator, and I'm really proud that we're one of this year's recipients of the Roberts Fund. So as you're all probably aware, radiologists are critical members of the medical community. I think it's safe to say that a good sizable chunk of clinical treatment decisions are made following imaging studies. And the number of these imaging studies are increasing at a really rapid rate. And unfortunately, there just aren't enough radiologists to go around to handle this increasing imaging volume. So anything that we can do to help radiologists ends up helping us all. And a radiology report has two key components. The first component is what the radiologist sees in an objective manner and describes that, and that's called the findings. The second component is a summary of those findings, also known as the impression. Now, both of these components need to be present to be reimbursed, and both of these components take a while to create. So CREG is a transformer-based neural network architecture. It was pre-trained on a very large corpus of medical reports, and the final model extracts the salient information and combines them into a natural language output into a format that radiologists are accustomed to. I'm being tired. In short, the CREG AI solution automatically performs component 2 or step 2. It automatically generates the impression based on the input that the radiologist had put in, thereby saving the radiologist a significant amount of time per shift. So I think in just a few short months, our results are pretty impressive. We asked a number of radiologists to try our product, and this is what they had to say. Used the impression generator today, and it was great, helped me quite a bit. Great stuff, very accurate, there's no downside. Tried it on a bunch of reports, and it's pretty good. And this is one of my favorite comments. It's from a private practice radiologist who said, surprisingly accurate, given that it wasn't trained on my data. And that's really key. So as I mentioned before, radiologists, such as myself, in demand and overworked, underpaid. And so if we can find anything to support their workload, we help hospitals save money, and we make life better for radiologists, which in the end helps us all. We compared CREG's output to ChatGPT, and we think that our product is superior. This market is young but moving very fast. There are a number of competitors out there with funding, which tells us that there's clearly a need for this. Their performance is unclear, especially with unseen data. We are confident that we can outperform given our hyper-focus on healthcare and our domain expertise. But I think this is just the beginning. We think that we can modify and adapt our technology, our summarization technology, into other areas of medicine and other clinical care settings. So think about emergency department, primary care, oncology. Imagine being able to write a discharge summary in minutes instead of hours. I mean, medical interns around the world will be thanking us. So I believe that doing so will significantly reduce the burden of documentation that any physician can attest to. So we see an opportunity to build an entire company focused on helping the medical community with a better way to write notes. So I'm obviously biased, but I think we have an amazing team. I have my radiology background. Armand Cohen unfortunately couldn't be here. He's a computer science professor, and his area of focus is in natural language processing, and in particular, in text summarization. Ryan Martin is in the audience, and he has a lot of experience building consumer-grade, scalable products in digital health. If you have any questions, please come find us.
Sophie, not to put you on the spot, but I'd like to do that. You do have 1 minute. Do you want to take a question? Maybe if there's one question, we're not doing this for everybody. It depends on how people manage their time. Does anybody have a question for Sophie? I got permission to do this.
Okay, helps when there's a timer.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I guess not understanding the full reimbursement situation. Since the impressions are being generated, is there any other opportunity to summarize the findings in a way that facilitates that interaction with the insurance companies? So is it just the existence of the impression that's important, or is there any other information that can be provided more directly in a structured way, given your evidence?
Yeah, so insurance companies will require that the findings contain certain components in order to be fully reimbursed, and that is something that the radiologists still do. But what the impression does is essentially form that summary, that not necessarily just for reimbursement, but that's what the clinicians read. The clinicians determine their next step, essentially just based on the impression. So we're able to kind of create that automatically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love it. Look at that. We're still probably ahead of schedule. So with everybody having about 5 minutes, we will finish a few minutes late. We'll only have time for Q&A for you, depending upon how fast they move. And then you can find everybody again in the courtyard at about 3:30 or something of this sort. Just stick around. Everybody will be here all day. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Look, everybody's so fast. They're already up here. Sophie. Oh, Yu Yang Sang is our next person. I don't even know if this is on anymore. I'm just going to project with ZK for all. So here we go. Everybody's already so efficient.
Hello. As shown in this figure, data breaches has been endangering all industries that are connected to the internet. Last year, there are 422 million personal records stolen all around the internet. This number is collected from over 1,000 data breach incidences. And if we look at the entire 21st century, this number becomes 17.2 billion. For each data breach incident, the company needs to pay $9.4 million. So if these companies are So if these companies kept failing our trust in protecting our data, then why should we hand it to them in the first place? So there's a natural question. Is there any way to keep the internet still functioning without sharing our private data to these third parties? Well, this academia has a systematic solution for that. It's called zero knowledge proof. And our work, ZK for all, is trying to make this zero knowledge proof available to everyone. Well, hello everyone, my name is Yu Yang. I'm a PhD student from Yale Computer Science Department, and I'm very excited to share you our experience. There are already some real-world applications using zero knowledge proofs, from Bitcoin transaction to nuclear disarmament, and also in machine learning and mortgages. Let me elaborate on mortgage a little bit. Usually when someone applies for a mortgage, she needs to provide some documents to prove that she can make the payment on time, right? But these documents usually contain some of her private information in it. So maybe she does not want to share the privacy. Instead, she can choose not to share the document directly, but run a carefully designed protocols with the mortgage lender to communicate some of her partial information about herself. So in the end, the mortgage lender will be assured that the applicant is qualified, but he cannot learn anything more. That's the essence of zero knowledge proof, or ZKP for short. One party proves to the other party that a statement is correct without revealing any other information. It was invented in 1985, and the entire cryptographic communities has been working it, and they came up with a lot of designs that proves all sorts of statements. But there are still some issues in zero knowledge proof. ZKP in general are too hard to use and too slow to use. And so the applications I mentioned at the beginning are still using ZKP in a limited way. What our team wants to do is to tear down this barrier and bring ZKP from something good in academia world into the real world. There are already some startup companies trying to build custom chips to speed up zero knowledge proofs. But these kind of approaches are usually too expensive, the chips are difficult to change, and they need expertise to design these chips. Instead, we have a software approach. We want to build a standard programming framework for working efficiently with cloud-ready zero-knowledge proofs. It's easy to use because now the user can write zero-knowledge proofs just like they write C or Java or Python code. And it also can run really fast because by deploying it on the cloud, the more machine can provide, the faster the proof can go. Comparing to the hardware approach, our software approach is much more affordable and is agile to change and more accessible to normal users. To make it possible, we need expertise from 3 computer science fields: formal method, programming language, and cryptography. And that's our team consists of. Our team leader, Ruzika, is a professor from Yale Computer Science Department. She unfortunately cannot make it to today because she's traveling. We also have Timos, a Yale research scientist, me, a PhD student, Xiao, Northwestern professor, and Ning, a Northwestern postdoctor. So far, we have designed a prototype language and implement a compiler that can automatically compile any zero-knowledge proof written in this language into some program that can run in parallel. And our paper based on this work has been accepted by CCS. Shortly after, we also filed a provisional patent application on it. Now with Roberts funds and the excellent team support, we want to do more along this line, such as connecting with more backend and build a system as a service platform. That means the user can delegate compilation and execution of their zero-knowledge proofs on our platform. We are also exploring potential markets. We want to first focus on traditional finance factors, such as the mortgage, the assessment, and auditing. In the future, we also want to explore software distribution. With our technique, the software developers can ensure that the program runs correct without open sourcing their code. So to summarize, so far we have developed a tool that allows non-expert programmers to write efficient, intuitive, and cloud-ready zero-knowledge proofs. In the future, our vision is to tackle the problems I raised in the beginning of the talk, to guarantee trust and privacy without the need for third parties. Thank you. If you're interested, please contact us.
Thank you. Perfect. Find him for questions afterwards. All right, moving on. We have Georgios Palakrasis, and you are with Combining DeFi and AI for Intelligent Credit Scoring. So, all you.
Thank you very much. So, $1 billion stolen in 2021. This is the amount of dollars stolen in DeFi attacks. So, hello everyone, I'm George Palakrasas. I am a postdoc here at Yale at the Department of Electrical Engineering, and my background is on artificial intelligence and blockchain, and I'm excited to be here today and present you our new solution on combining decentralized finance and artificial intelligence for intelligent credit scoring, that we named TrustScore. So you are probably aware of how traditional financial institutions use ways to assess risks. So they calculate a credit score based on which you get rates. However, on the other side, in blockchain systems, there is not yet a reliable way for assessing the risk of the different participants. And as you can see, not only the amount of transactions continues to grow in an increasing way, but also the potential venues and options that users have to interact with more lending pools and decentralized finance protocols. And in blockchain and decentralized finance, more specifically, users can interact with automated market makers, with lending pools, with exchanges, and many more. So currently, users are at risk of losing their money because there are a number of attacks. It is indicative that in 2022, there was a rug pull attack where more than 1 million investors were affected. So when we say rug pull, we mean that a malicious user creates a new cryptocurrency, then convinces people to invest, and suddenly pulls the rug and takes all the currency. In a similar way, likewise, there are also the flash loan attacks. When users manipulate smart contracts, they get a huge amount as a loan, and then manipulate the price in different exchanges and have profit. So this goes very fast and also can be repeated many times. So this is where we come in, and we design and we are making the TrustScore. It is an AI-enabled framework and system that monitors exchange rates, blockchain activity, NFTs, and evaluates liquidation risks and provides credit score. And to this direction, we leverage next generation AI techniques. So we are well positioned to become the leaders in DeFi protection. We have a significant progress in a relatively short period of time. We have published many papers, deployed our own Ethereum node, so we have access to all the blockchain data since the first block, the Genesis block. We have developed algorithms to identify users with multiple accounts, to detect transactions related to loans and collaterals. We have also developed algorithms to monitor liquidations, collaterals, DeFi activity, and also AI algorithms to detect attacks, as I previously mentioned once. So we're currently leveraging state-of-the-art graphic neural network-based machine learning methods to classify a user into a credit score tier. So we have more work to do, but we are Roberts funding. We're on track to be widely adopted in DeFi and also in traditional finance, and have an impact on loans, on rates and terms. Our solution will be accessible to developers through an API and to end users as a plugin in a widely used wallet such as MetaMask. So we have identified across the blockchain landscape potential customers, which are actually liquidity providers who could provide better lending terms, and also DeFi platforms who can have better rates to the borrowers, and finally traditional finance credit institutions who can expand their business using our solution. So of course we know that we're not the only team that has realized that there is a need for credit scoring. Some other companies have also emerged recently, and we assume that more will come. Our advance is on our skill and our experience on AI and networks. So, as I told you, I'm George Palokrasas, I'm postdoc here at Yale. We have an amazing team led by our professor, Leandros Stasioulas, who has a substantial contribution in networks and AI, and we're very well positioned to bring our credit scoring system to the market. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our next presenter is Anurag Khandelwal, and Anurag is with Disaggregated Clouds. I'm going to hand this to you. You have a whole extra second. Just to get you nervous. Ready?
Yes. That was exciting. Perfect. All right. Now that the suspense is out of the way, let's dive right into it. Data centers, which are the backbone of the cloud and are touted as the factories of the digital age, are essentially nothing but a collection of servers that are connected to each other over a network, right? And these servers are no different from our computers. They're comprising CPU, memory, and disk within certain boxes, right? And these boxes essentially host all of our internet services, ranging from Google, Netflix, all the way to ChatGPT. And with the growth of all of these internet services and users over the last few years, data centers have grown as well. So much so that an average data center occupies 2 football fields worth of space, and collectively, all of these data centers use 2% of the global energy in the world. And at the same time, surprisingly, their power and cost efficiency is far from ideal, right? And this is not only bad for the company's wallets, but also for the planet. And I'll let you decide which is more important. The main reason behind this is wastage. For instance, Google's data centers use only 50% of the memory resources more than half of the time, which leads to millions of dollars in additional cost of operation, which they don't need to spend. So with that, let me introduce myself. I'm Anurag. I'm here to talk about disaggregated data centers, which is our lab's efforts to building more cost-effective and greener clouds. If you look at traditional data centers, the main problem why they're inefficient is because how the resources, which is compute, memory, and disk, are boxed together in these servers. Now, applications that run on these data centers have very different needs. Some need more CPU while requiring little to no memory and disk, while others require a lot of memory but no CPU or disk. Now, when you place them or box them into these servers, you end up wasting resources that you don't really use, right? And these resources essentially cumulatively cause their inefficiency. Our idea to fix this problem is relatively simple. Simply take these box abstractions and break them open so that you have CPUs, memories, and disks directly connected over the network. And now, as a data center provider, I can simply allocate just as many resources I need across all of my applications combined together. Now, that might seem elegant, but it's pretty tricky to realize. What it essentially is a radical change in how we build data centers, and it requires an operating system to manage these disaggregated pool of resources and allow cloud applications to run unmodified on them, right? And that's what the goal of our project is, to build an operating system that can manage these resources and allow the applications to think of the entire data center as a single gigantic computer. Our first market is edge data centers, and this is motivated by the growth of connected smart devices, which is referred to as the IoT ecosystem. And I'm going to focus on smart driving cars as a primary example. If you look at these smart vehicles, they essentially have very limited amount of compute and storage resources because you can't really fit a data center in a car. And yet, they require real-time responsiveness because when you're driving and you need to really quickly adapt to changing traffic conditions, you can't wait for hundreds of seconds to get a response. Now, edge data centers tend to address this issue by placing a large number of small edge data centers close to urban populations where these cars are present, for instance. And they provide sufficient compute and storage resources, but at the same time, they provide very low latency to process the information that is required to be processed. The main problem, however, is that since there are so many of them and so small, they do not enjoy the economies of scale, and therefore, making them cost efficient and greener is all the more important. And this is really where our idea of disaggregated data centers actually shines. So this is a real opportunity for us because these data centers have to be built from scratch. We can actually build our data centers using these ideas that I mentioned. So let's take a look at where we are right now. We've already designed a novel data center scale operating system that can manage disaggregated resources. We also have a working real-world test bed where we can actually deploy real-world applications on our operating system and run them. And we've also published a number of our results in top-tier systems conferences, which have received our work really well. Where we are going ahead with the Roberts Innovation Fund is towards practicality, how to make our tools more real for adoption. And so we're focusing on three main thrusts. The first is support virtualization, which allows us to use tools like Kubernetes to support even more cloud applications. We are focusing on working with industry standards like CXL and evolve them so that they can incorporate our ideas. And we are going to release our operating system's first version pretty soon. Our team is comprised of people with expertise in cloud systems, in data center architectures, and in operating system kernel design, and is uniquely equipped to achieve the goals of this project. And we've already shown a lot of promise with numerous publications and awards to back them. If you have any questions about our vision, please reach out to me or this email. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is like fancy stuff up here, so I think we should really appreciate you for all your help.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, because if that was up to me, I don't know. All right, moving on. Here we go. Dr. Albert Sanusis. Yes. Deep learning for quantification of lower extremity flow and viability. Here we go. This is all you. I'm gonna put on that timer. Scare you.
All right, in 2026, it's projected that 33.8 million people will suffer from peripheral arterial disease, PAD. The disease may present as claudication, pain in the legs, and progress to critical limb ischemia, resulting in lower extremity amputation. There are 185,000 amputations performed each year associated with PAD. I'm Dr. Albert Sanusis. I'm a cardiologist at Yale, and I'm excited to share our project where we apply deep learning to detect peripheral arterial disease. We do this by quantifying lower extremity flow and viability using PET imaging. Our project is designed to solve some of the challenges in detecting and treating peripheral arterial disease. Current screening techniques for detecting PAD are inadequate. In 2021, the AHA scientific statement on PAD said that PAD should be recognized as an increasing global burden and that PAD is systematically underappreciated and understudied. PAD can result in decreased flow in the skeletal muscles and fibrosis, which worsens with the advancement of disease. Current screening approaches rely on the ankle brachial index, which only assesses large vessel disease, and it's important to understand that PAD in diabetics is a microvascular disease, which can only be detected with perfusion imaging. If we can effectively apply artificial intelligence in the processing and the analysis of existing PET technology, we would greatly improve screening of PAD, which of course would enable early detection, earlier treatment, and reduce the number of deaths and amputations. Rubidium-82 PET imaging is widely used to assess flow in the heart, and the cardiac PET imaging market is growing fast. However, there are challenges in performing rest and stress imaging in the lower extremities with PET due to the small field of view of the current scanners, the short half-life of rubidium, low skeletal muscle flow, only 1/10 of that in the heart. And so we've developed a novel acquisition protocol to image the lower extremities that are illustrated on this slide. This involves shuttling the scanner back and forth from the lower abdomen to the feet. Note that the rest perfusion in this patient with PAD is normal. However, when we use thigh-level cuff occlusion to induce reactive hyperemia, we can identify regional differences in lower extremity flow. We're able to overcome the challenges in imaging quantification with our AI solution to PET-CT imaging of the lower extremities. We employ our novel image acquisition protocol to derive an arterial input function, which is needed for kinetic modeling for PET quantification of lower extremity flow. We apply AI-based denoising for improved visualization and quantification of skeletal muscle flow and viability. And we apply AI for segmentation of lower extremity muscles and vascular territories. AI can estimate flow and viability in seconds, producing high-quality images for the diagnosis and for treatment guidance. The cardiac rubidium PET image market is already large and growing. Our proposed use of rubidium PET in PAD will address a critical unmet clinical need and has the potential to prevent amputation and save lives. Our AA solution enables a significant new application and market opportunity. There are about 5.8 million people with critical limb ischemia and 3 million PAD patients with claudication who would benefit from PET imaging for risk stratification and guiding revascularizations. We have assembled an amazing multidisciplinary team at Yale with clinical expertise in PET imaging and the management of PAD, as well as expertise in AI. We established an academic industrial partnership with Jubilant Radiopharma, an established international company that obtained FDA approval for their rubidium-82 generator and have conducted over 200,000 studies with the device. The Jubilant team is led by Eric Moulton, their director of AI, and he's supported by a team of investigators that can facilitate marketing and translation of our patent-pending technology to clinical studies in patients with PAD. Thanks for your attention.
I feel like I'm getting smarter by the moment just being in this room. I'm just so impressed and thankful for Will Roberts for the fund. Okay, so we're just moving on, and 1, 2. We have 4 more presentations. All right, okay, so here we go. Babis, you're up next. Babis Papamatho. All right, come on down with LaGrange. Take it away. It's 5 minutes, chop chop.
Feel free to
They got it.
go faster and answer the question.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you very much. I'm going to talk about our work, Lagrange Labs. It's in the blockchain space, and it's about securing, scaling, cross-chain interoperability. Okay, so what happens is in the blockchain space, there are a bunch of blockchains, and many applications happen to need to use state from different blockchains. So for example, if you want to apply for a loan in Ethereum blockchain and Ethereum blockchain needs to access your credit score from another blockchain, somehow you need to securely transfer the state from, say, Algorand to Ethereum, from Arbitrum to Ethereum. This is a problem, right? Because these are completely different systems. So the question we're asking at Lagrange Labs is how we can make this happen in a secure fashion. Okay, so this is a real problem. In particular, there's been like a bunch of ways to do that, but the low security has resulted in various losses up to 2.5 billion annually, right? So we have here a bunch of examples, right? So what could happen, for example, is someone can lie about your credit score in another blockchain, and this false information can be used in the target blockchain and lead to a completely wrong result. Okay. So if we look at the space, there are basically two ways to do this secure transfer of state. One way is to say, okay, I'm going to trust some intermediary nodes to vouch for the authenticity of state A to blockchain B. Right? So in this way you have to trust, and then there are other approaches where you can use this zero-knowledge proofs technology where you remove any trust. So the problem with the first approach is that you place too much trust on a specific organization to vouch for authenticity of a state. The problem with the second approach, where you remove the trust, sometimes it takes a long time to compute these proofs, that it can become really cumbersome. So our approach to ensuring a secure transfer of state is to go somewhere in the middle. So we say we're not going to remove trust completely, but we're going to try to improve, to shorten the assumptions, to have less assumptions on the entities that we trust. And the way we do it, so we have 2 specific points that we're focusing on. First, how do you get the state from blockchain A to blockchain B securely? And second, once you take the state and you expose the state in the target blockchain, how do you actually use it? So when I talk about state, you can think about it as a succinct representation of the memory of a smart contract. Right? So the question is, how do you use these 256 bits that represent gigabytes of memory in a secure fashion, right? How you unfold it, right? So the technologies that we're developing is 2. We are developing something of ZK MapReduce, where we are building efficient zero-knowledge proofs for specific types of computation that involve a high degree of parallelism, and these are computations that appear in smart contracts and in blockchains all the time. And the second thing that we're focusing on is how you actually bring the state over. And to do that, we use what we call Lagrange state committees, where basically we have Ethereum nodes vouching for the authenticity of a state of another blockchain by having them, asking them to put collateral with some other network. So if they lie, there is some penalty, they're losing out of money. So we have this notion of economic security for the entities that vouch for the authenticity of states. So these are basically the two pillars of our approach. So we have assembled interesting set of partners. So these partners are interested in using our testnet. So we're trying to launch our testnet during the summer. And we have an amazing set of people. Asteem, Ismail, and Amir, co-founders, are here with us today. And we have an amazing set of engineers. And we're slowly building our team. Okay, and yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Roberts Innovation Fund. It has been instrumental in our progress. We're building technology that not only can benefit our own company, but also will benefit the whole ecosystem. And I think it's been very influential, and that has also helped us to secure our first funding for the company. So we're very excited about that.
Everyone has so much work cut out for them going forward, right? This is just the beginning. All right, Gigi Galeana. Gigi, you're up with physics-based algorithm for MRI, eCamp. Hey, here you go.
Thank you. Oh no. Should I do a chalk talk?
Introduce yourself. We're not gonna, we're supposed to be 5 minutes so far.
Well,
You're all set.
okay, let's just run with it then. Great, thanks. So for something completely different, most people think that an MRI is an MRI is an MRI, but even with the same brain and using the same kind of sequence, the hardware you use or the specific parameters that are used at a particular site can give you these vastly different contrasts. So our question is basically, how can we ask AI to diagnose more subtle biomarkers from an MRI when even the same brain can look so different? So fortunately, MR physicists have already solved this problem with quantitative MRI or qMRI. So whereas a regular MRI will be, that's not the right way. Oh, it's, no. This is, yeah. There are other animations on here. Okay, well, I was, so some of my animations are missing, but I'll just talk you through them, even though I was told not to point, but I'll have to point. So whereas regular MRI is done in these arbitrary units, quantitative MRI maps a real physical parameter. So that's why you see units of seconds. And I'll be using these two color schemes for regular versus quantitative MRI in the rest of this. So the important thing about these qMRI is that they are consistent and reproducible across sites. You'll get the same qMRI at every hospital. So my name is Gigi Galeana, and I'm excited to tell you all about eCamp, which is our approach to standardizing a MRI for AI using a physics-based algorithm. So when it comes to training AI to read MR images, the exciting thing is that there are about 30 million
MRI scans done clinically every year just in the US, which could be this massive source of training data. But only a tiny fraction of those are qMRI, and non-qMRI are quite difficult to train on. So if you train on a site where the brains look like the one on the left, and then you take it to a hospital where the brains look like the one on the right, obviously you're going to have poor performance, so you have lower generalizability. Another approach is, of course, to train on multiple sites, but there you're going to be less able to pick out subtle biomarkers as we'd like to be able to see. So this is what motivated us to develop eCamp. eCamp is it's an algorithm that calculates or models out the qMRI from a regular MRI scan taken in different ways. It uses data from a scan that's that is already part of nearly every MRI scan, and because it's physics-based, it works in any organ. The main advantages of eCamp are that it's broadly applicable for the reasons I just described. Our mantra developing this was that we must not ask hospitals to change anything about how they acquire their data to improve, scalability. And the other important feature is that this standardization is universal. This is not an image homogenization procedure. We don't need batches. It's ideal for every learning goal. And because it's not a homogenization, we're not going to wash away any real biological variability that we want to keep. We have a number of pathways to commercialization, which I don't have time to detail, but we're working with Yale Ventures and the Roberts Innovation Group to systematically go through and identify the optimal path for us. Just give you a second to look over it. And so that's the big picture. Where are we so far? Well, fortunately, there's already a lot of literature showing that qMRI is consistent across different sites, across different acquisitions. What we have done is a proof of concept that we can take the data from a regular MRI and turn it into an eCamp qMRI that matches the gold standard quite well, as you can see here. So the next thing we need to prove is actually that these eCamp qMRIs improve AI. So the general picture is we'll collect a lot of regular MRI data, convert them into these eCamp qMRIs, and then train algorithms for certain tasks on both the data sets, see who's more generalizable, who's more accurate. And it turns out that the perfect test case for that is not the crown, but closer to the crown jewels. So prostate MRI is really ideal for this problem. There's typically just one clinical question of interest because it's, cancer or no cancer, which is not so in the brain. The diagnosis is primarily based on 2 images, and as luck would have it, one of those images already is a type of qMRI. The other one is a regular MRI, but it happens to be exactly the same kind of scan that we had already proven works in the brain. So we knew we could make qMRI out of those images and end up with a fully standardized data set. And then sort of the icing on this is that prostate MRI is this exponentially growing field. There's already been a lot of AI work. And in fact, there are already publications showing that regular MRI, and specifically the site variability in the regular MRI, is the weak link in what people have been trying to train so far. So with the support of the Roberts Fund, which we were very grateful for, we've already started turning some of these prostate images into eCamp qMRI. The next step is to pull them together into a training data set and run that test that I described in the last slide. So just to tell you a bit about our group, so I and Nalal Saeed are the MR physicists in the group. My co-PI is here, Hemant Tagar. He's the image processing guru. He does the math and the algorithms. We also work with Jeff Weinreb, who's a radiologist. He's one of the world leaders in prostate MRI, and John Onofre. Oh, this is my older. Okay. And John Onofre is our machine learning AI expert. And thank you all very much.
I don't want to say that I have any favorites, but anybody who comes up here and talks about the crown jewels here at Yale, that's fun, Gigi. All right, Smita Krishnaswamy. Come on down. More AI science. So we have Smita, and then we have Fan, and we are running a couple of, the keynote is running a couple of minutes behind, so we should be all set a little bit. How do I advance? Okay.
All right, hello everyone, and thanks to the Roberts Innovation Fund. We're Moirai, and that's actually a Greek word that means the fates. So we're a machine learning algorithm platform to identify druggable molecules that drive disease dynamics. Oh, that wasn't full screen, right? This. There we go. Okay, I think it's okay now. So if you think about it, our cells, which is what our body is made up of, are constantly undergoing dynamics. So we all used to be one single cell, but various of its progeny had to dynamically change identity, cell state, transcriptional profile to become all the different types of cells in our body. And in fact, diseases are also characterized by dynamics. So neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's diseases have immune cells like microglia and astrocytes that change from homeostatic states to inflammatory degenerative states. Almost any disease that you think of undergoes some kind of progression. That's why people progress in disease and they're so hard to control. So we've assembled a team with joint expertise in mathematical AI, ML, as well as various biomedical fields to tackle the problem of uncovering disease dynamics using deep neural network models and then finding targets that inhibit the dynamics. Our overall discovery platform looks like this. We start with longitudinal single-cell data, and this is why we can track dynamics these days because of advances in technology like single-cell. And we put them through one of our neural network models or neural ODE models that automatically learn the disease dynamics. These inferred dynamics give different trajectories for each and every single cell. So we learn the different fates that the cells undergo, and these allow us to build underlying gene regulatory networks that give rise to these dynamics, and these are how we identify the targets. These feature breakthrough technology from our neural ODE models that have various architectural innovations and perform optimal transport to infer static snapshot single-cell data into dynamic trajectories. The first disease that we are targeting is triple-negative breast cancer. It's one of the most diagnosed diseases in the U.S. among females, and it's very highly invasive and difficult to treat with no targeted therapies. So we're studying the stem cell plasticity in triple-negative breast cancer using a 30-day time course where we watch these cells transition to fairly benign epithelial states to mesenchymal states that can seed metastatic tumors. And we had the longitudinal static snapshot data collected in single-cell modalities at 5 different time points. We put them through our trajectory net model, whose animation is not appearing here, but it basically transports the cells over the cellular state space to arrive at these single-cell trajectories. And we discovered that there are 2 major types of trajectories, and one is tumor-forming and one is non-tumor-forming. And because we have dynamics over time of the cells, we can also map the dynamics of the genes and as they change in the cells over this time, and we can see the genes that are differentially dynamic among the 2 trajectories. And this allows us to build causal networks that gives rise to these trajectories. And if we